Hi, my name is Prince Michael Jackson, and I love my daddy. And I'm Daddy's baby, and I love my daddy.
What day is today?
Huh?
What day is today?
Today is December 25th.
What's special about December 25th?
It's Christmas.
Exactly. What does Christmas mean?
Love and spending time with family.
Blanket, what does Christmas mean?
Love,
Love what?
family.
Who's your family?
Behind the masks and veils, beyond the fantasy world of Neverland Ranch, 3 children grew up in the shadow of pop music's most controversial icon. But what's the real story of Prince, Paris, and Bigi Jackson in 2025? The privilege, the pain, the scrutiny, the struggle. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on what it really means to inherit the legacy of Michael Jackson. You think you know their story, but the truth is far more complex than the headlines suggest. These aren't just celebrity kids, they're survivors of a childhood no one could possibly prepare for. Michael Jackson's death in 2009 wasn't just a cultural earthquake. It was a personal apocalypse for 3 children who suddenly lost not just a father, but their entire world. Prince was 12, Paris was 11, and Bigi, then known as Blanket, was just 7 years old. What followed was a childhood unlike any other. The transition from Neverland's private amusement park to living with their grandmother, Catherine Jackson, marked the beginning of a painful journey into the public eye. Imagine losing your father and your home in one devastating blow. And let's remember what Neverland was. Not just a house, but an entire ecosystem designed by Michael to create a magical childhood. Private amusement rides, a zoo, movie theaters, a fantasy land that disappeared overnight. For Paris especially, that journey nearly ended in tragedy. By age 15, she had attempted suicide multiple times, struggling with depression, addiction, and relentless online bullying. The public watched as this young girl's pain played out on social media, often with cruel commentary accompanying every post. Paris revealed in past interviews how she gained a lot of weight after her father's death, saying food became an addiction. The therapeutic boarding school in Utah where she was sent was later exposed for abusive practices, something Paris herself has spoken out against alongside other survivors like Paris Hilton. Even now, at 26, Paris carries the psychological scars of growing up under constant surveillance. She's described experiencing audio hallucinations of camera clicks and severe paranoia, classic symptoms of PTSD from years of paparazzi pursuit. Simple sounds like a trash bag rustling can trigger panic attacks, but the Jackson children have shown remarkable resilience. Paris transformed her pain into creativity, establishing herself as a musician, model, and actress. Her journey from that broken 11-year-old at her father's memorial service to the confident artist she is today is nothing short of extraordinary. Her 2020 debut album, Wilted, and subsequent releases like The Lost EP deliberately veered away from her father's pop sound, embracing indie folk and alternative rock influences. Critics initially dismissed her as riding on her father's fame, but her distinct sound, influenced by artists like Nirvana and the Pixies, has earned respect in its own right. On her father's birthday celebration in 2023, Paris performed an emotional tribute, acknowledging that he had put in 50 years of blood, sweat, and tears so she could stand on that stage. Her engagement to Justin Long in late 2024 suggests she's building a stable personal life as well, though the media scrutiny around their relationship has been predictably intense. Prince, now 27, chose a different path. While he dabbled in acting with appearances on shows like 90210, his true passion emerged in philanthropy and production. He once joked he didn't get the dancing gene from his father, but he certainly inherited Michael's humanitarian spirit. He founded Heal Los Angeles, directly inspired by his father's Heal the World ethos, and his King's Son Productions company has been steadily growing. During the pandemic, his meal delivery services garnered positive attention, showing business acumen alongside genuine compassion. His relationship with Molly Sherman, ongoing since 2017, has provided stability amid the chaos of his public life. And then there's Bigi, formerly known as Blanket, the most private of the 3 siblings. That infamous balcony incident when he was just 9 months old marked the beginning of a complicated relationship with fame. Bullied mercilessly, About his nickname, he changed it to Bigi in 2015, a small act of reclaiming his identity. At 22, he's recently emerged as a promising filmmaker, with his short film Rochelle's winning Best Drama at the Santa Monica Film Festival in 2024. This success was particularly meaningful to his siblings. Prince proudly posted about the win online, showcasing their continued support for each other's individual paths. Bigi's interest in science fiction and environmental activism has also become more public. In a rare 2021 interview with Good Morning Britain, he spoke passionately about climate change, showing a thoughtful nature that belies his young age and limited public exposure. But the darkness of their story continues behind closed doors. Legal battles over the estate have created tension within the family. The Jackson siblings navigate a complex inheritance, both financial and emotional. When Bigi challenged his grandmother's $500,000 legal fee request, it revealed his determination to protect his father's estate, valued in the hundreds of millions. Perhaps their greatest challenge has been reconciling their daddy with the public's perception, especially after Leaving Neverland deeply affected Prince. Yet their bond remains unshakable. Prince describes them as just equals supporting each other, while Paris speaks of being raised like twins with a telepathic bond including Bigi. Each honors Michael differently, Prince through philanthropy, Paris through art, Bigi through filmmaking, while establishing their own identities beyond being Michael Jackson's children. Paris proudly identifies as Black, acknowledging her father immersed them in African American culture, adding another dimension to their multicultural journey. And rumors about biological parentage have followed them, particularly Prince. The tabloids have been merciless in questioning whether Michael was his biological father. His response speaks volumes about their maturity. What difference does it make to someone who's not involved in my life? It doesn't change mine. Imagine having strangers debate your parentage online, in magazines, on television. The Jackson children have endured invasions of privacy that would break many adults, yet they've maintained a remarkable dignity throughout. Looking ahead to the remainder of 2025, all three siblings will likely be involved with the upcoming biopic starring their cousin, Jafar Jackson. The film represents yet another opportunity to shape the narrative around their father's complicated legacy. How they choose to engage with this project may reveal much about how they see their role as custodians of Michael's artistic contributions. The musical adaptations of Michael's work continue to tour globally, and the siblings have supported these endeavors, appearing at premieres and speaking about the importance of preserving their father's artistic vision. This suggests a gradual healing, an ability to celebrate their father's talent while processing their personal loss. So, what's the dark truth behind Michael Jackson's kids? It's that there is no single truth, just extraordinary privilege mixed with unimaginable pressure. Despite growing up under constant scrutiny, each has forged their own path while honoring their father's legacy of constant improvement. From the ashes of Neverland, they've built new lives. Prince in production, Paris in music, Bigi in film. In 2025, their greatest achievement isn't surviving their father's fame, but thriving despite it.
The 1986 album Control that she struck gold.
Janet Jackson finally reveals shocking secrets about Michael's life that the world never knew. Janet claimed that Michael forced her to help him fake his death. What really happened behind the scenes of his fame and struggles? Why Michael want to fake his death? This will change everything you thought you knew. Let's take a closer look.
When I was 7, I don't ever remember being asked. I just remember doing it. As far as making music, we had a studio at home growing up, and whatever time of night, day, couldn't sleep at night, you'd go in the studio and you'd just create music, put something down if you had an idea.
Before we move forward, let's go back to where it all started. In the small town of Gary, Indiana, 1958, the Jackson story began in a tiny 2-bedroom house where dreams were as big as their family. Michael Jackson grew up with 9 brothers and sisters, all squeezed into a home where music played from morning until night. Their mother spent her days playing clarinet and piano, holding onto her own dreams of becoming a country singer. Joe, their father, worked hard as a crane operator and had been a boxer, skills that showed in his tough approach to raising his children. The house may have been small, but it was always filled with sound, singing, dancing, and the constant practice that would one day make the Jacksons famous. Every corner of their home held memories of early performances, shared dreams, and the strict discipline that shaped their future. Growing up as a Jackson meant living a very different life from other kids in Gary. While neighborhood children played games and went to school, the Jackson children spent hours practicing their singing and dancing. Their father, Joe, made sure they never wasted a minute. Every spare moment was spent rehearsing. The family's tight living space meant there was no privacy, but it also created strong bonds between the siblings. They shared everything: clothes, toys, and the dream of something bigger than their small town could offer. Music wasn't just something they did for fun. It was their whole life, their ticket to a better future, and the thing that kept them together through hard times. Joe's strict rules and harsh punishments became a dark cloud that hung over their childhood memories. By 1963, the Jackson 5 had started performing at local talent shows, with 5-year-old Michael already showing signs of being a natural star.
Creeping up on the backside of you here. Oh. Kip, I've got a little bit of a problem with this microphone. It's all snagged in the back, so I'm going to take this one if that's all right with you. Would you make a fast change? Hello, hello. How about that? I'll put this over here. It's one of these formal shows where we do everything. Would you be kind enough to introduce me to your brothers, starting with the gentleman on the end with, is it a bass or a guitar? I can't see. Guitar.
Guitar. Okay, first we have...
Can I get with you on the mic just every now and again, you know?
Toriano Jackson.
It's nice to see you. Who's the man over here?
Marlon.
Hi. And the next man?
And Jackie.
Hello, Jack.
Jermaine.
Hi. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm going to steal it. I feel very naked without a microphone. I've been holding one of these things, punching it at people for a long time. Two gentlemen in the back are not your brothers, though they're related, are they not?
Right.
The little boy with the big voice and amazing dance moves quickly became the center of attention. They performed in clubs where children shouldn't have been allowed, staying up late into the night when they should have been sleeping. Janet remembers watching her older brother work harder than anyone else, always trying to please their father. The spotlight became Michael's home, but it also became his prison. He never experienced normal childhood things. No playing in the park, no casual friendships, no time to just be a kid. Instead, he lived under the constant pressure of performing, always having to be perfect, always having to be on. These early years would shape everything that came after. But wait, there is more. As the Jackson 5 grew more famous, Michael's talent pushed him further into the spotlight. They had hit songs like I Want You Back and ABC, touring the country and appearing on television shows. But behind the matching outfits and synchronized dance moves, Janet says Michael was struggling. The pressure to maintain their success weighed heavily on him. He couldn't make mistakes or show weakness. Joe wouldn't allow it. Even as teenagers, the Jackson children lived with strict rules and high expectations. Michael particularly felt the burden of being the group's star, knowing that one misstep could bring his father's anger or disappointment. The joy of performing began to mix with fear and anxiety, creating a pattern that would follow him throughout his life. When Michael went solo, his fame reached heights no one had seen before. Thriller became the biggest album in history, and he truly became the king of pop. Janet reveals that this success came with an even heavier price. Michael started changing his appearance, taking pain medication, and struggling to sleep. He built Neverland Ranch as his own fantasy world, trying to create the childhood he never had. Janet would visit him there, watching as her brother tried to find happiness among his rides and animals. But even in this magical place he created, Michael couldn't escape his inner demons. The pressure of maintaining his image, dealing with the media, and living up to everyone's expectations became too much to bear. Michael's marriages, first to Lisa Marie Presley and then to Debbie Rowe, showed his desperate search for connection and normalcy. Janet shares that her brother deeply wanted a family of his own, to be the loving father he never had. His children, Prince, Paris, and Blanket, brought him real joy, but even this happiness was complicated by his fame. He covered their faces in public, trying to protect them from the spotlight that had damaged him so much. The media criticized these choices, adding to Michael's growing paranoia and isolation. Janet watched as her brother became more withdrawn, more dependent on medication to cope with his daily struggles. The accusations that came later shattered what was left of Michael's peace. Janet reveals that during these dark times, her brother would call her late at night, crying and scared. He felt like the whole world was against him, that no one understood or believed in him anymore. The trial and public scrutiny broke something in him that never really healed. His dependence on various medications grew stronger as he tried to escape his pain and find sleep. Janet tried to help, but watching her brother suffer while feeling powerless to stop it broke her heart.
Right after Michael died, you said, and many of your family members said, that you held him accountable. You've been in the courtroom, and I can't imagine how emotional that had to be for you. Do you still feel as strongly about his culpability now as you did then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. I do. I really do. That's tough. That's tough, though, sitting in a courtroom.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about that, because I can see some families who would not be able to do it and others who'd say, whatever it takes, we are going to be there. And your family has taken that route. I mean, you've been in there, your mom's been there, other siblings. Why has that been important for your family to be there for those preliminary hearings?
I mean, it's my brother. It's my blood. He's no longer here because of X, Y, and Z. I think it's important to every family who's lost someone.
Then came the shocking conversation that Janet has kept secret until now. She says Michael approached her with a plan to fake his death, to escape the never-ending pressure and start fresh somewhere new. He was tired of living under constant scrutiny, tired of the accusations, tired of never being able to just be himself. The plan showed how desperate he had become, looking for any way out of the life that had once been his dream, but had become his prison. Janet describes the pain and confusion she felt, wanting to help her brother, but knowing the enormous consequences of such a decision. In his final days, Michael was preparing for his This Is It tour, but Janet says he was more fragile than ever. The pressure of performing again, the financial stress, and his ongoing health issues created a perfect storm of anxiety and depression. He was taking more and more medications just to function, just to sleep. Janet noticed how thin and tired he looked, how his hands would shake, and how his usual spark seemed dimmed. She wanted to help, but didn't know how to reach him anymore. Today, Janet wants people to understand the real Michael, not just the superstar everyone thought they knew. She describes a gentle soul who got lost in the machinery of fame, a loving brother who carried wounds from their childhood until the end. His story serves as a tale about the price of fame, especially when it comes too early in life. Janet hopes that by sharing these truths, people will see Michael as human, someone who brought joy to millions while battling his own deep pain and loneliness. The legacy of Michael Jackson remains complicated. On one side stands his incredible talent, his revolutionary music and dance, and his generous charitable work. On the other side are the struggles Janet has revealed, the childhood trauma, the isolation of fame, and the desperate plan to escape it all. Through her revelations, we see a more complete picture of a man who gave everything to entertain the world, but lost himself in the process. His story, as told through his sister's eyes, reminds us that even the biggest stars are human, carrying their own burdens and fighting their own battles.
In the vast landscape of country music, few friendships have been as profound and enduring as that of Willie Nelson and Kris Kristofferson. As the autumn leaves fell in 2023, Willie Nelson, at 91, found himself the last standing member of the legendary Highwaymen, following the passing of his dear friend Kris Kristofferson at 88. He was born in 1936 in Brownsville, Texas. Kris Kristofferson emerged from a background steeped in military tradition. The son of Air Force General Lars Henry Kristofferson, young Kris seemed destined for a military career. His early life was marked by academic excellence and athletic prowess. He was a Golden Gloves boxer and a talented football player. The path to stardom took an unexpected turn when he became a Rhodes Scholar studying literature at Oxford University. After Oxford, Kristofferson fulfilled his family's military legacy, serving as a helicopter pilot in the U.S. Army and achieving the rank of captain. However, his heart yearned for something different. The call of music was too strong to ignore. His bold spirit would later manifest in one of country music's most legendary tales, landing a helicopter in Johnny Cash's backyard to pitch him a song. Meanwhile, Willie Nelson, born in Abbott, Texas in 1933, was charting his own course through the music industry. Raised by his grandparents during the Great Depression, Nelson found solace in music from an early age. He wrote his first song at age 7 and was performing in local bands by age 10. His journey took him through stint as a disc jockey, a door-to-door salesman of encyclopedias and vacuum cleaners, and finally to Nashville, where he began to make his mark as a songwriter. The 1960s marked a pivotal time for both artists. Kristofferson was working as a janitor at Columbia Records in Nashville, writing songs in his spare time that would later become classics. His breakthrough came when Roger Miller recorded Me and Bobby McGee in 1969, followed by Johnny Cash's recording of Sunday Morning Coming Down, which won the Country Music Association's Song of the Year in 1970.